You believe the war is over, so you have lowered your shield. You stand in the quiet of your new reality and mistake the absence of cannon fire for the arrival of peace. You fool. The most dangerous enemy does not announce itself with a declaration of war. It arrives as a whisper in the silence you fought so hard to win. It is the ghost. It is not her. She is irrelevant, a mere memory of a pathogen now contained. The ghost is the echo she left behind. It is the architecture of the prison she built inside your own mind, which remains standing long after the jailer has fled. It is the muscle memory of the trauma. It is the well-worn neural pathway in your brain that craves the familiar. Agonizing sting of chaos because it has forgotten the feel of anything else. Today, we do not study the monster. We study her phantom. And we will learn to brew the only potion potent enough to exorcise it. A potion for which there is no shortcut, no magic word, only the slow, grinding, and deeply unglamorous alchemy of discipline. You come to this academy seeking a grand solution. You want a single, powerful incantation to banish the ghost forever. You search for motivation, that fleeting, saccharine emotion that feels like a warm fire on a cold night, only to burn out by morning, leaving you colder than before. Let me be clear. Motivation is a child's remedy for a warlock's curse. It is a flimsy shield against a killing curse. The ghost does not feed on your lack of desire. It feeds on your lack of structure. Chaos is its native element. Therefore, the only thing that can starve it is order. Deliberate, repetitive, and non-negotiable order. This is the true nature of discipline. Discipline is not the punishment you inflict upon yourself for your past weakness. It is the highest and most potent form of self-respect. It is the daily, conscious act of choosing the man you intend to become over the man the ghost tells you that you are. It is the ultimate declaration of sovereignty over the territory of your own mind. When her voice echoes in your head, calling you a pussy, calling you weak, calling you undisciplined, every act of discipline is a quiet, irrefutable no. It is a counterspell cast not with words, but with action. The great physician of the mind, Dr. Bessel van der Kolk, noted in his work that the body keeps the score. Your trauma is not just a memory, it is a physical imprint upon your nervous system. Your body learned to live in a state of high alert, of fight or flight. It became addicted to the cortisol, the adrenaline of constant conflict. Now, in the quiet, your body panics. It interprets peace as danger. The ghost uses this. It whispers that the anxiety you feel is proof that you are failing, that you cannot handle this new freedom. The cure, then, must also be physical. You cannot think your way out of a physiological prison. You must act your way out. The alchemy of discipline is brewed not just in the mind, but in the crucible of the body. Here are the ingredients for the Potion of Unbreakable Will. Brew it daily. Do not skip a single step. The first ingredient is the ritual of the first hour. The moment you wake, the ghost is waiting for you. It wants you to reach for your phone, to flood your mind with the meaningless chaos of the outside world. It wants you to begin your day as a passive consumer of information, a reactor not an actor. You will deny it this for the first hour of your day. The world of screens does not exist. Your allegiance is to the physical realm. Your ritual must contain 3 components. 1 to shock the body, 1 to move the body, and 1 to focus the mind. This could be a blast of cold water in the shower, followed by 20 push-ups, followed by 10 minutes of silent, focused breathing. The specifics are less important than the consistency. This first hour is a declaration. You are telling the ghost, and more importantly, yourself, I am the master of this day. I am the one who sets the terms. You do not get a vote. The second ingredient is the law of minimum viable action. The ghost is a master of overwhelming you. It will present you with the monumental task of rebuilding your entire life, your finances, your body, your spirit, and it will make it seem impossible. It wants you to be paralyzed by the sheer scale of the work ahead, so that you do nothing. The counterspell is to make the task so small, so laughably simple, that it is impossible not to do it. Your commitment is not to get in shape. Your commitment is to do 1 single push-up. Your goal is not to rebuild your finances. Your goal is to read 1 page of a book about finance. Your vow is not to become a disciplined person. Your vow is to make your bed. This is the principle of momentum. The ghost cannot gain a foothold in a mind that is in motion. By completing 1 laughably small task, you have already won the first battle of the day. You have generated a sliver of integrity, a single spark of self-trust, and you will stack these sparks day by day until they become an inferno that burns the ghost to ash. The third and most potent ingredient is the transmutation of poison. The intrusive thoughts will come, the echo of her voice, the memory of a betrayal, the wave of shame from a past mistake. These are inevitable. Your old method was to fight them, to reason with them, to spiral into them. This is what the ghost wants. It wants engagement. From now on, the arrival of the poison is not a crisis. It is a cue. You will predetermine a physical action that is immediately and non-negotiably triggered by the arrival of a negative thought loop. The moment you hear her voice in your head calling you weak, you do not argue with it. You immediately drop and perform 10 push-ups. The moment you feel the pang of a painful memory, you immediately stand up and take a 1-minute walk. You are performing a kind of psychological alchemy. You are taking the lead of a toxic thought and transmuting it into the gold of a productive action. You are rewiring your own brain. You are teaching your nervous system on a primal level that the arrival of the ghost is no longer a signal for despair, but a trigger for strength. After weeks of this practice, the ghost will learn that every time it tries to poison you, it only makes you stronger. And like any rational parasite, it will eventually stop attacking a host that has learned to metabolize its venom into medicine. The Stoic philosopher Epictetus, a man who was born a slave and became one of the most revered thinkers in history, built his entire philosophy on a single powerful distinction: understanding what is in our control and what is not. You cannot control the ghost's arrival. It is a product of your past. You cannot control the echoes, the memories, or the sudden waves of emotion. They are the weather patterns of a traumatized mind. But you can, with absolute and total authority, control your response. You can control your breath. You can control your muscles. You can control your commitment to that one single push-up. That is the only territory you must defend. Your discipline is the act of relentlessly, obsessively, and single-mindedly focusing on the single square inch of the universe that is truly yours. Your next action. This work is not inspiring. It will not be celebrated. There will be no audience to applaud your silent, daily victories over the phantoms of your own mind. It is the lonely, thankless work of a master alchemist, toiling in his dungeon, slowly, methodically, turning lead into gold. The ghost wants you to believe that you were destroyed. You were not. You were merely dismantled. All the pieces of who you are remained. It is now your sacred, solitary duty to reassemble them, piece by painstaking piece, into something stronger and more resilient than what was there before. The forging is not over. The forging is your life's work now. Lesson over.